the temple priests were seeking how to put Jesus to death, for they feared the people.
Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, who was of the number of the 12. He went away to confer with the temple priests and officers how he might betray him to them. And they were glad and engaged to give him money. So he agreed and sought an opportunity to betray him to them in the absence of the multitude.
Then came the day of unleavened bread, on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. So Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare the Passover for us, that we may eat it."
They said to him, "But where, Lord? Where will you have us prepare it? And what are we to do?"
He said to them, "Behold, when you have entered the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him into the house which he enters, and tell the householder, 'The teacher says to you, where is the guest room, where I am to eat the Passover with my disciples?' And he will show you a large upper room, furnished. There make ready." And they went and found it as he had told them, and they prepared the Passover. And when the hour came, he sat at table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them, "I have earnestly desired to eat this with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I shall not eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God." And he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he said, "Take this, and divide it among yourselves, for I tell you that from now on I shall not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes." And he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And likewise the cup after supper, saying, "This cup, which is poured out for you, is the new covenant in my blood. But behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table. For the Son of Man goes as it has been determined. But woe to that man by whom he is betrayed."
And they began to question, "Who, Lord? Who is to betray you? Is it I? Is it I?"
He answered, "He who has dipped his hand in the dish with me will betray me. Oh, it would have been better for that man if he had not been born."
Judas, who betrayed him, said, "Is it I, Master?"
Jesus said to him, "You have said so."
Simon Peter was indignant. "But not I," he said. And he declared, "Though they all fall away from you, I will never leave you."
"Truly I say to you, this very night before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times.
Peter said, "Even if I must die with you, I will never deny you."
And so said all the disciples, over and over again.
Nevertheless, not not my will, but thine be done.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done.
And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping with sorrow. And he said to them, Why do you sleep? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, even the evil within ourselves.
While he was still speaking, there came a crowd, and a man called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He drew near to Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said to him, Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?
Judas said, Hail, Master.
When the disciples followed, they said, Lord, shall we strike with the sword?
And one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear.
But Jesus said, No more of this. And he touched his ear, and he healed him.
Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Jesus said to those who had come out against him, When I was with you day after day in the temple, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness. Then they seized him.
We
He answered him, "You have said so."
And Pilate said to the chief priests and multitudes, "I find no crime in this man."
But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up the people, teaching from Galilee, even to this place."
And when Pilate heard that he was a Galilean, of Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod.
There he was vehemently accused, and treated with contempt, and mocked, and arrayed in gorgeous purple, and then sent back again.
Pilate said to the rulers of the people, "You brought me this man as one who was perverting the people. And after examining him, behold, I did not find him guilty of the charges against him. Behold, nothing deserving of death has been done by him. I will therefore chastise him and release him."
But they all cried out together,
Away with this man! Away!
"Release to us Barabbas!"
Barabbas, a man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and for murder.
Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus.
But they shouted out,
Why? What evil has he done? I found no crime in him deserving of death. I'll chastise him. I'll release him.
But
They were urgent,
demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified.
And their voices prevailed.
So Pilate gave sentence that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been jailed for murder. But Jesus he delivered up to their will.
Were you Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
And Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Forgive us our trespasses.
And they cast lots to divide the garments.
Forgive us our trespasses.
And the people stood by watching. But the rulers scoffed at him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he is the Christ of God.
Forgive us our trespasses.
The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him vinegar.
There was an inscription over him. This is the King of the Jews.
Forgive us our trespasses. Forgive us, O Lord, our trespasses.
One of the criminals who was hanged with him railed at him, saying, Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us.
But the other rebuked him, saying, Do you not fear God? And you under the same sentence, and we justly? This man has done nothing wrong. And he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.